Hey everyone! If you enjoyed this video, the full version is available on Patreon. I'll be uploading all my content there going forward.
Chapter 1. Speak. Who the hell is your TM? Imbecile, jerk. Don't speak again, don't blame me for opening a hole in your head. Looking at the two people who were very familiar in front of him, Lin Chao didn't know whether to cry or laugh. Even the woman with short red and blue hair was holding a gun to his forehead. He was originally taking advantage of the rare vacation time to relax with the recently released game Cyberpunk 2077. Never thought that at the end of the game, he controlled V to enter the cyberspace, and the moment the yellow-white light lit up, he also lost consciousness. When he woke up again, he was already lying on the big bed in this hotel room. And he was restrained by two people who made him feel uneasy. Jack Wells, A&D. Female V. Ding, welcome host to Night City, the game program is starting. With a dull electronic synth sound in his mind, a very familiar translucent interface appeared in Lin Chao's field of vision. It is exactly the IKEA system interface in the game. Lin Chao was overjoyed. Wang Wenqing doesn't deceive me, it's really a must-have system for transmigration. However, before he could explore further, there was a pain in his forehead. I'm asking you something. While speaking viciously, V opened the safety of the pistol. V, why is this guy so stupid? Is there something wrong with his implants? The strong man looked at Lin Chao with a puzzled expression. Jack, we don't have time to spend with this guy of unknown origin, remember, this is Arasaka's territory. Looking at the female V in front of him, the corners of Lin Chao's mouth began to rise uncontrollably. Simple and elegant oriental face, no messy piercings and tattoos. The blue pupils, the short red and blue hair are full of heroic spirit, and there is no lack of other charm. Isn't this the female V that he squeezed with his own hands? For a time, indescribable intimacy and love flooded into my heart. After all, what he likes the most in this game and is the most uneasy is the V he controls. Even if he got through all the endings, he couldn't really save her. Laugh? I'll make you laugh out of nowhere. Seeing the smile on Lin Chao's face, V raised his hand to pull the trigger. Don't shoot in a hurry, I'm here to help you. Lin Chao spread his hands with a smile, indicating that he was not a threat. Had. Jack on the side couldn't help laughing when he heard Lin Chao's words. Boy, do you know what we are here for? What are you here for? Good question to ask. Look at the suits on the two and the furnishings of the hotel room. Lin Chao knew in an instant that the plot was going to the stage where the two were going to steal relic. He has a deep memory of this episode. It was precisely because the two of them stole chips that they happened to meet Saburo Arasaka, the heir of the Arasaka company, strangling his father with his own hands. That is, the helm of the Arasaka company, Saburo Arasaka. Hence the following series of plots. Jack, who was devoted to love and righteousness, died. The protagonist V was betrayed by the black fat Dexter and shot in the head, causing the digital personality of Johnny Silverhand in the chip to merge with herself. In order to survive, the following series of main quests were launched. It can be said that this story is the beginning of the whole game. It was also the beginning of the whole tragedy. Of course, all this without his Lin Chao showing up. Now he is here. Never let these tragedies happen again. Thinking of this, he said with a smile, of course I know, you are here to steal the chip in Arasaka Li Xian's hand, I'm rough. Jack covered Lin Chao's mouth, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. If this word is known to outsiders, it will reach Arasaka's ears. With the energy of the Arasaka company, they both definitely didn't know how to die. V's eyes also flickered for a moment, and then he said, someone sold us, that fat Dexter? Or that guy Avellini? Jack on the side also groaned. Dexter this order, but he introduced it to V. If something went wrong, he would be so sorry for his partner. Seeing the two fell into silence, Lin Chao pushed Jack's big hand away, shrugged and said, "Don't guess, it's not them." "Who are you?" Vi frowned slightly. "Ahem, let me introduce myself, my name is Lin Chao." As Lin Chao said, he gently poked V's muzzle with his hand. "Lin Chao." Vi and Jack looked at each other, and then their pupils lit up slightly. Apparently who was talking to through the prosthetics. Lin Chao is not surprised by this. As someone who has been playing for a few weeks and is familiar with all the plots, he naturally knows that there is a hacker behind the two, T-Bug. Presumably now, they are trying to find a way to investigate their identity. My side. I can't find this person's identity information? Could it be that this person has never had a prosthesis installed on his body? During the communication, T-Bug's voice was full of disbelief. Hearing this, V hurriedly looked at Lin Chao's palm and behind his ears. Where the skin is so smooth. There is no trace of being modified at all. How is this possible on a horse? There are no personal links as well as neural slots, which is for people of this day and age. It's as weird as a person living in modern times without a cell phone and identity. Faced with such a guy who was full of mysteries, V's gun that had moved away once again landed on Lin Chao's head. Speak. Who are you, and what do you want to do here? Lin Chao smiled helplessly. However, just when he was about to answer, a voice belonging to the system appeared in his mind again. Ding, the super selection system is on. Option 1, steal the relic chip with V and Jack Wilson, reward, a castrated version of the black light virus. Option 2, get out of business, leave the Chuangbi Building, reward, 1 billion euros. Option 3, try to notify Arasaka about this, reward, Arasaka's board of directors. Asterisk. Chapter 2. Super Selection System. For a time, Lin Chao suddenly had the illusion that he was in the game again. 3 options. Means he will embark on 3 different paths. Leaving with an astronomical amount of wealth, from now on, he will be unrestrained in the world of cyberpunk. Or talk about this matter and find a way to notify Arasaka Corporation, and eventually become one of the shareholders of the behemoth Arasaka Corporation. Or use their own advantages to help V and Jack to obtain the black light virus that killed Brother A and Brother Hay in the prototype. Well, it's still the castrated version. Tisk tisk tisk, my system is a bit interesting. Lin Chao couldn't help but smile in his heart. In other people's selection systems, the final prizes are obviously disproportionate. Said to be a choice, in fact, is to follow the best prizes. This can be good for yourself. Although the black light virus seems to be more powerful. But this is the castrated version, the ghost knows how much castration will be. And even if it is the full version of the black light virus. In today's technologically advanced world, it's probably not going to end well if you want to do things. Say nothing else. Just the mercenaries and troops that have been strengthened by prosthetics are enough for him to drink a pot. When I can't tell, I have to be arrested by the people of Arasaka to do research. Instead, it's the other two. In this world, money is everything. To be able to live forever, to be able to do whatever they want. And to become the high level of Arasaka, that is to stand on the top of the world in an instant. But I'm here to help you. A bright smile appeared on Lin Chao's face. Ding, accept the task the fearless, steal the relic chip with V and Jack Wilson. He Lin Chao is not a master who can sit still. In the last life, the bullets have been mixed for 6 or 7 years, and it has long been numb. Since God gave him such a chance. Wouldn't it be a pity not to make up for the world's regrets? We don't need help. V coldly refused Lin Chao's request. Lin Chao shrugged, that's not necessarily true. Although your plan is perfect, it can't keep up with the changes. For example, T-Bug didn't find it, and Dexter didn't tell you that Saburo Arasaka was on his way here. What? Saburo Arasaka. You know T-Bug. For a time, V and Jack, and T-Bug on the other end of the communication were dumbfounded. They never imagined that Lin Chao would drop such a big bomb on them. Not only know the whereabouts of Saburo Arasaka, I even know the T-Bug behind the two. Although I don't know if the news about Saburo Arasaka is true or not. But it is also very scary to know the information of a cyber hacker who is very good at hiding his whereabouts. Seeing that V and Jack were silent, Lin Chao raised the corner of his mouth again, looked at V and asked tentatively. Are you thinking, do you want to stop this time? After all, there are too many changes in this operation. V looked at Lin Chao and said nothing. But the slightly narrowed eyes confirmed Lin Chao's guess. Seeing this scene, the smile on the corner of Lin Chao's mouth became even wider. If you add me, I guarantee that you can take the chip this time and leave here safely. And when the time comes, you'll definitely get more than that damn fat Dexter gave you. Even. Lin Chao turned to look at Jack. You still have a chance to become a living legend in Night City. Lin Chao's voice, like a spell, penetrated into the minds of the two of them. Every word precisely hits the most sensitive point in their hearts. After pondering for a moment, the gun in his hand closed the safety again and removed it from Lin Chao's forehead. She said slowly, then what is your purpose? My purpose? Lin Chao smiled and said without hesitation, my purpose is difficult to explain, but it does not conflict with you. The most important thing is that I have good intentions for you. Why should we trust you? V asked in a deep voice. Lin Chao smiled and said, if I wanted to harm you, you would have already been arrested by the people of Arasaka. Besides, taking the gun away already shows that you believe me, or choose to gamble. I can't understand you any better. After that, Lin Chao got out of bed and started to move his body briefly. Cut. V rolled Lin Chao a glance, and then sat back on the sofa and whispered something to Jack, while staring at Lin Chao from time to time. Lin Chao didn't say anything about this. After all, there may be a tough battle to be fought later. He has to move his body now, and by the way, learn what the use of this game interface is. System, explain what this game interface does. Lin Chao asked tentatively in his heart. And the system did not let him down, and dutifully gave the answer. The host can still live in this world in the form of a game because of its special status. Including digitizing body information, using game functions such as carry-on bags and teleportation points at any time, etc. Lin Chao nodded slightly. Although the data-based body information he currently thinks of what special role. But just being able to use the carry-on package and the game teleportation point is also very convenient. As time passed, the sky gradually dimmed. What do you think, why did he all give up? Jack asked suddenly looking out the window. V was taken aback by Jack's question, hey? Who gave up what? Seeing the plot begin to develop, a smile appeared on Lin Chao's face. If there is no problem. After this conversation is over, T-Bug will break through the ice on the top floor of the Chuangbi Building. At that time, they can officially start the action. Asterisk. Chapter 3. Jack is talking about Lai Xian. Lin Chao, relying on his familiarity with the plot, inserted himself into the topic of the two. Arasaka Lai Xian gave up his original glory and wealth and chose to engage in gangs. Actually, this guy's attitude towards the Arasaka company should be able to call Johnny a brother. It's a pity that they shouldn't look down on each other. Lin Chao shrugged. In fact, he only really knew when he chose the ending of Arasaka Demon in the third week. Although Arasaka Raisin is exaggerated, he is also very contemptuous of the various dirty actions of Arasaka company. So much so that he wants to turn himself into a bomb and completely destroy this Arasaka tower standing in the world. Instead, it was her sister, Arasaka Hanako. On the surface, she looks like a good talker, but in fact she is an out-and-out company dog. In Johnny's words, this guy is a white-faced BCH. Hearing Lin Chao's words, Jack was a little surprised. Yo, you still understand me very well. And V was keenly aware of something from Lin Chao's words. Listen to what you mean, you know Lai Xian very well? And who is Johnny? She asked suspiciously. It's not important, you'll know it later. Speaking of which, the ice on T-Bug's side should be cracked soon, right? Lin Chao was familiar with the topic and changed the subject. As soon as his voice fell, the pupils of V and Jack lit up slightly, and the communication of T-Bug sounded in their minds. Okay, let's continue to work, the security on the top floor has been dealt with. Jack's face lit up, perfecto, very good, it's our turn to play. V also stood up and said to Lin Chao in a warning tone, you'd better not make any crooked ideas, I can always stare at you. Lin Chao waved his hand, don't worry, I'm on your side, let's go. With that said, Lin Chao took the lead out of the room. The three entered the elevator without any hindrance. How embarrassing not to talk. Let me tell you a joke. Jack said suddenly. Hearing this, Lin Chao rolled his eyes. The coldest yellow joke in the whole game is coming. Listen, why did the rock youth get kicked out by his girlfriend? Because I didn't perform intubation. Lin Chao received weakly. Say something. When he first heard Jack's joke in the game, he was embarrassed to death. V. Ha 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 ha, you actually know, you can. Jack patted Lin Chao's shoulder vigorously. Cough, don't talk about this for now, there are a few things I want to explain to you first. Lin Chao said sternly. Seeing that both of them were focused on themselves, Lin Chao said solemnly, please tell T-Bug. Let her open the TV wall in Lai Xian's room now, and she will leave the current position immediately after we get the chip. As for the two of you, is there anything you can videotape? Get ready. Although there are some doubts about the request made by Lin Chao. But since these actions didn't seem to have any impact on their original plans, the two nodded. Just after finishing these, the elevator finally arrived at Arasaka Raisin's room on the top floor. Jack looked around and said, Humph, the heirs of Arasaka live well. You won't be in the mood to talk after a while, get the chip. Lin Chao said as he walked quickly towards the bedroom. Looking at Lin Chao's back, V was stunned for a moment, and then said to himself, the chip is on the other side, why is this guy going to the bedroom? Who knows? Jack spread his hands and walked towards the place where the chips were hidden. There, under the floor. T-Bug said in a deep voice, look for the switch. Crack. A soft sound interrupted T-Bug's words. The secret cell with relic in full bloom slowly rose. How is it turned on? Lin Chao's voice came from the bedroom. Only then did V, Jack, and T-Bug react. It turned out that Lin Chao went to the bedroom just now to find the switch. Rough, this brother is quite reliable. Jack laughed. Don't talk nonsense, get in the personal link and we'll send it. T-Bug's voice in the channel is also a little uncontrollable excitement. Seeing that everything went smoothly, Lin Chao came over whistling. Well, this is for you. Hey? This is... V looked at the pistol in Lin Chao's hand for a moment. Doesn't it mean that if you want to enter the hotel, you can't carry weapons? This is Arasaka Raisin's Spear King Kong, keep your self-defense. Seeing the smile on Lin Chao's face, V hesitated for a while, but still took King Kong. At the same time, the vigilance against Lin Chao in his heart also dropped a lot. After all, in this case, you can give yourself the only self-defense weapon. At least it means that Lin Chao is not malicious for the time being. Thanks. As soon as V's words reached his lips, a strong light suddenly flickered outside the window. Two Arasaka drones and a floating car slowly passed outside Lai Xian's suite. Seeing this scene, Jack frowned slightly. There are guests from heaven. Bug. That's Saburo Arasaka's car, they're coming. We have to hurry up. Lin Chao's expression froze, and he couldn't help urging. Upon hearing this, the expressions of the two and T-Bug on the other end of the communication suddenly changed drastically. Asterisk. Chapter 4. CTMD, you mean Saburo Arasaka will come to Lai Xian's room? Jack looked at Lin Chao in disbelief. Lin Chao nodded, I told you before. But you didn't say. Enough. V frowned and drank lightly, then asked, Bug, how long will it take? All right. As soon as T-Bug's voice fell, the safe containing relic opened instantly. Brilliant. After confirming that the box is complete, V and Jack walked towards the front door. Don't go out, let's find a place to hide first. Lin Chao reminded with a frown. He is very clear. If they go out like this, the three of them have to collide with Arasaka Raisin and the humanoid machine Atom Hammer beside him. In the current state of the three of them, in front of Atom Heavy Hammer's killing machine whose 98% of its body has been replaced with mechanical parts, it's not enough to jam its teeth. However, V and Jack are unaware of this. Are you crazy? Don't hurry up and hide here because you want to die. V said coldly. However, the voice of T-Bug came from the channel at this time. Listen to him, hide behind the TV cabinet, Lai Xian is about to come in. Are you riding a horse to tease me? Jack said angrily. Don't force it, come in. Lin Chao didn't care about the 3, 7, 21, and pushed Jack, who was holding the box, into the open video wall. Then he himself dragged V and squeezed in. In the narrow space, the sturdy Jack holding the box squeezed aside. Lin Chao and V were tightly pressed against one another. The vague body temperature came, making Lin Chao's heart sway. And V, who was close to him, seemed to have noticed something strange, and hummed slightly coldly, be honest, don't you want that stuff? Ahem, tell Bug that it can be withdrawn, she will be in danger if she doesn't leave for a while. Lin Chao awkwardly changed the topic. V nodded and said nothing. Ding, the task is completed, get the reward Black Light Virus, castrated version. Ding, follow-up quest escape from heaven. Successfully escaped from the Chuangbi Building, reward, 50,000 euros. Lead one of V or Jack to successfully escape from the Chuangbi Building, reward, 50,000 euros, legendary grenade, or Zobu's nose *5. Lead V and Jack and successfully escape from the Chuangbi Building, reward, 50,000 euros, legendary grenade, or Zobu's nose *5, legendary circulatory system prosthesis, deputy heart. A series of system prompts sounded just right in Lin Chao's mind. Seeing the black-red reagent lying quietly in the inventory, he was slightly relieved. No matter what, he is a bit of a lifesaver. Well, but now is not the time to use it. Business matters. As for this follow-up mission, 50,000 euros, 5 grenades that can track and guide, and a prosthetic body that has the ability to revive on the spot immediately after its life returns to zero. A smile appeared on the corner of Lin Chao's mouth. In fact, no matter whether there is a reward or not, he will do his best to bring the two out. So it's not a bad reward, it's just the icing on the cake. Base. Lin Chao's thoughts had just fallen, and the elevator door of the room opened. A man wearing a bright silver top walked in with a ferocious and strong man whose whole body was made of machinery except for his head. It's impossible, that's Atom Hammer. Looking at the two who came in, Jack's eyes were full of shock and panic. V looked at Jack suspiciously, a bodyguard. Jack shook his head and whispered, not only that, the legend of the Night City, a character like the God of Death, which one is this playing? Don't panic. Lin Chao smiled calmly, listen to me, make sure there is no problem, the recording status has been turned on, right? Jack nodded, and in his Kilosi's eyes, a red light was flickering slightly. Next, the plot begins to develop normally. After a brief exchange between Arasaka Raisin and Atom Heavy Hammer, Saburo Arasaka, the leader of the business empire of Arasaka Corporation, slowly walked down from the upstairs tarmac. At this moment, both Jack and V couldn't help but glance at Lin Chao. What this guy said is true. Soon, Saburo Arasaka's bodyguard, Goro Takemura, and Adam Hammer left the room at Saburo Arasaka's gesture. The father and son started a conversation full of gunpowder. Apparently, Saburo Arasaka was very angry about Arasaka Raisin stealing relic from the laboratory. He looked at his son and said in a deep voice, "Do you know what to do next? Leave our achievements to the Westerners, our future to those savages. This has nothing to do with the future." Arasaka Lixuan retorted angrily, "Besides, who stipulates that the future is yours? You only care about yourself. You and your perverted conspiracy." Arasaka Saburo was silent for a moment, and then he said without any disturbance, "I knew this day would come. Your brazenness will cross my bottom line sooner or later. I've always been tolerant to you, but betrayal can't be tolerated. I'm glad your mother didn't see this, she'll be heartbroken by disappointment." This sentence seems to have hit the pain point of Arasaka Lixuan. The next moment, Lixuan, who was already unable to bear it, suddenly stretched out his hands and strangled Saburo Arasaka by the neck. FK. Seeing the terrifying scene in front of him, Jack hurriedly covered his mouth. V is also stunned, looking at everything that is happening in front of him in disbelief. "Now, you don't have to continue to be tolerant." With an angry shout, Lixuan's strength gradually increased. Saburo Arasaka, an elderly man, how can he compete with Lixuan who is still strong? But for a moment, Saburo Arasaka completely lost his voice. The dignified Arasaka Corporation, the helm of the world's largest military enterprise, is dead. This. Jack and V both felt a chill, and they reached the sky from the solace of their feet. A bad premonition came to mind. At this moment, the two of them wish they had never appeared here. I have never seen a scene that is enough to cost them 100 lives. However, just when the two were praying to the gods and Buddhas in the sky, hoping that Lixuan would not find them, Lin Chao, who didn't say a word, suddenly tapped the TV screen in front of him. Dong dong dong. In the quiet room, the crisp sound was so harsh. Arasaka, who was looking at his father's corpse silently, also aimed his eyes at the back of the TV screen like vultures. Asterisk. Chapter 5. You're riding a horse crazy. V was holding onto Lin Chao's clothes tightly, his pretty face turned white at this time. With this exposure, she and Jack are absolutely dead on this trip. Lin Chao took a deep breath and said softly, "Trust me, I won't trick you." After speaking, he gently broke free from V's hands and walked out from behind the TV wall. "Hello Arasaka Raisin, let me introduce myself, Lin Chao." At this time, Lin Chao couldn't see any nervousness at all. Looking at Lin Chao with a smile on his face, Arasaka glanced at Saburo Arasaka's corpse on the ground, and a smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. "You kill my father, and you still want to? Stop, stop." Lin Chao hurriedly stopped Arasaka Lixuan and continued on. "What about you? Don't pour dirty water on me, I just recorded the whole process." Hearing this, Arasaka frowned slightly, "So you are planning to threaten me?" "Sorry, don't be so ugly, I just want to discuss cooperation with you." Lin Chao grinned, revealing a row of white teeth. "Heh." Lixuan smiled contemptuously, "Cooperation? Do you have any bargaining chips worth letting me cooperate with you? If it's just based on the video you have, I can tell you responsibly. You have no chance to upload it online." Lixuan's voice was very cold. He hated the feeling of being threatened. Lin Chao smiled and shook his head, "I'm not the kind of person who is rude. I'm not familiar with you, Arasaka Lixuan." "Heh, tell me about it." Lin Chao put his hands on his back and said slowly, "Although you are the heir of Arasaka, you have long disliked Arasaka's behavior. As early as 50 years ago, Johnny Silverhand blew up the Arasaka Tower, and you realized that it is absolutely impossible for a real bomb to end the filth and evil of Arasaka. If one Arasaka Tower is gone, another will rise. So you want to turn yourself into a bomb. Am I right? Lin Chao looked at Arasaka with a smile. At this time, Arasaka Lixuan looked at Lin Chao and turned from disdain to horror. These ideas, he has never spoken to anyone in more than 50 years. Who is this mysterious man named Lin Chao? Go on. Arasaka Lixuan said solemnly. Lin Chao nodded and crouched beside Saburo Arasaka's body. There are still many obstacles for you, the board of directors of the entire Arasaka group, and your sister Arasaka Kanako. Hearing Lin Chao mentioning his sister, Arasaka Lixuan frowned slightly. Of course I know this, it's not your turn to remind you. But there is one more thing you don't know. The smile on Lin Chao's face spread. Your father, Saburo Arasaka, is not dead. What did you say? Arasaka Reizo, who was already sitting on the sofa, stood up again. Then he walked quickly to Saburo Arasaka's body. You don't have to read it, this body is indeed dead, but before again, he has uploaded the consciousness data to the oracle. And you, in the future, will become the container of his data consciousness and resurrected again. Lin Chao's voice was incomparably flat. It seems that this shocking inside story is nothing unusual to him. It's just that Arasaka Reizen, who was listening to these words, could no longer remain calm. He didn't have much doubts about Lin Chao's words. It can even be said that he had guessed before, but now Lin Chao has confirmed it for him. The two sank for a while, and finally Arasaka Lixuan, who finally calmed down, finally looked at Lin Chao and said seriously, "Tell me, how do you want to cooperate?" "That's not right." The smile on Lin Chao's face became even brighter. He sat on the sofa and poured himself a glass of champagne slowly. "It's very simple, I will help you destroy the hidden danger of the oracle, so that Saburo Arasaka will not leave a code." "Humph, it's easy to say." Arasaka Lixuan dignified sitting on the other side of the sofa. Lin Chao shrugged and said confidently, "I know that only Kanako Arasaka has permission to enter the oracle. The computer room is even farther away on the orbital space station. But so what, I have my own way." Hearing that Lin Chao was so familiar with Arasaka's top secret, the oracle, Arasaka Reizen frowned. After hesitating for a while, he asked, "Then what do you need me to do?" Lin Chao looked at the golden liquor in the glass and pointed to Saburo Arasaka's body with his toes. "It's very simple for you, just throw this pot of dirty water on the head of military technology and use it as an excuse to go to war." For a moment, Arasaka Reizen looked at the leisurely Lin Chao, and suddenly felt a tingling sensation in his scalp. With such a relaxed tone, such a horrible thing was told. Does he know what it means when the world's top 2 military enterprises go to war? You don't have to look at me very much. Lin Chao took a sip of the champagne in his glass and continued. Actually, you would do it even without me, right? Arasaka Reizen clenched his fists tightly. Although he looked like he was only about 30 years old. But in fact he has lived more than 70 years. In fact, for many years, he had never experienced the terrifying feeling of being completely seen through his heart, even in his father. This Oriental man who seems to be only in his 20s. Who is it? Asterisk. Chapter 6. If you don't speak, I'll take it as your agreement. Lin Chao raised his glass towards Saburo Arasaka, then, "Wish us a happy cooperation." Humph. Arasaka Reizen ignored Lin Chao. He felt extremely uncomfortable about this feeling of being completely seen through and even being controlled. "I advise you to leave here alive and then consider cooperation. I can't help you with this, otherwise it will be suspicious." "You don't have to worry about that." Lin Chao grinned. "You wait for me to go up and get something first, and when you come back, you can press the alarm normally." Having said that, Lin Chao drank the champagne in one gulp, and immediately got up and walked towards the upstairs tarmac. As an experienced player, he knew very well that in the suspension car on the tarmac, there was also a legendary sword named K belonging to Saburo Arasaka. It's all here, how can we not take this sense away? It just so happened that I could borrow the 2 guards upstairs to try the ability of this black light virus. Thinking of this, Lin Chao took out the black light virus in the inventory and directly chose to use it. Gollum! In the next instant, the black-red reagent in the test tube suddenly poured into Lin Chao's pores. One after another, black-red flesh vines began to churn out from Lin Chao's body. However, the strangeness only lasted for a moment, and then completely subsided. Without contagiousness, the virus is still in its most rudimentary stage, and it's okay. Lin Chao nodded with satisfaction. Not being contagious makes him less worried. After all, he didn't want Night City to become a zombie city. Although the current virus can only give him the ability to devour simulation, regeneration, and physical enhancement. But that's enough. After moving his strengthened body, Lin Chao quietly walked upstairs. On the tarmac, the guards in the center of the 2 fat men with guns are here. Saburo Arasaka, who didn't know they were going to protect, had already died downstairs. Following the assassination route in the game, Lin Chao slowly came behind one person. Then, crack, gumble. Before the fat man guarding could react, his whole body was penetrated by black and red vines, which merged into Lin Chao's body in the blink of an eye. Immediately, a messy memory and a sense of satisfaction flooded my mind. Lin Chao took a deep breath and started to activate the black light virus again. In the next second, his figure, clothes, and even physical characteristics changed rapidly, turning into the fat man he had just swallowed. The next thing is much simpler. Lin Chao, who incarnated to guard the fat man, walked up to the floating car in such an open and honest manner, and picked up the Jew who was sitting on the seat. "Hey, Xiaolin, what are you doing?" Another fat man suddenly asked aloud. Lin Chao explained calmly, "Master Saburo didn't take the knife, I'll send it to him." "Okay, hurry up and come back." Without the slightest suspicion, the other continued to keep his guard up. Ding, get a legendary melee weapon Q. The wonderful system prompt sound made Lin Chao's heart sway. While recovering the main body, check the awakened attributes. Legendary Sword, Awakening. Details: Saburo Arasaka's saber was forged by the legendary swordsmith. Although the material is slightly weaker, its sharpness is unique, and it has a greater chance of causing 6 times the wound tier. No damage stats, no DPS. This is not the same as what Lin Chao imagined. But 6 times the wound tiering should be about as much damage as Ju's original 6 times the crit damage. Host, this world is a real world, and there are too many factors that affect the specific lethality of weapons and cannot be digitized. The explanation given by the system completely dispelled Lin Chao's doubts. Think about it. After all, this is a flesh and blood Cyberpunk 2077. Instead of hitting a computer game with a shot over the head and bouncing damage numbers. After figuring this out, Lin Chao once again had the usual smile on his face. Seeing Lin Chao walking down the stairs with sleep, Arasaka Lixuan frowned. "That's my father's knife." Lin Chao nodded, "Yes, I went up for that." "Humph, forget it, it's just a knife." Arasaka Lixuan looked at Lin Chao with a displeased expression. If there is no movement in the house for too long, Goro Takemura will become suspicious. Lin Chao nodded, and his next move immediately made Arasaka Rajan and V and Jack round their eyes behind the TV wall. I saw the feeling in his hand, and it was lightly placed on Arasaka Lixuan's neck. "Cough, robbery by the way, it will be our startup capital." Arasaka Lixuan twitched the corners of his eyes and said, "Can you speak directly?" "Sorry, I'm not afraid that you won't give it, take a form." Lin Chao touched his nose awkwardly. "You don't have a prosthetic body." Arasaka Raisin suddenly looked at Lin Chao strangely. Because when he was just about to transfer money, he couldn't find Lin Chao's signal in front of him. Isn't this in a hurry? I haven't put it on yet, Jack. Lin Chao began to ask for help from the two people hiding in the TV cabinet. Soon, Jack came out. Looking at the indignant Arasaka Lection, he couldn't help sighing, Dios, God, our horses are actually robbing Arasaka Lejuan, it's too awesome. Arasaka Raisin's fist clenched loudly. Resisting the urge to punch Jack's big face, he transferred the money. Super, the account has arrived, 10 million CTMD. When Jack saw the transfer prompt, he was dumbfounded. He swears, he has never seen so much money in his life. Can you all go now? Arasaka Raijuan said through gritted teeth. Lin Chao retracted the knife with a smile and nodded, of course, is it convenient for me to open the balcony door? Humph. Arasaka Raisin snorted coldly with a dark face. As the blue light flashed in his pupils, the balcony door that originally required T-Bug to open with his life opened automatically. Okay, I wish you a happy life. Lin Chao smiled, gestured towards V and Jack in the TV cabinet, and left the suite first. Breathing in the fresh air outside, V and Jack's frantically beating hearts finally eased a lot. Hey, now is not the time to relax, there will be a tough battle to fight later. Lin Chao reminded. The next second, the entire Chuangbi Building suddenly rang an alarm bell. Asterisk. Chapter 7. Quick! Jump down with me, the drone is coming. Looking at the rapidly approaching armed drone in the distance, Lin Chao's heart was also raised in his throat. At this moment, the key to whether Jack can survive has arrived. In order to save Jack's life, he made a special time difference. Otherwise, they should have waited for Arasaka Raisin in the house to leave before leaving. However, according to the development of the original plot, T-Bug will die because of being discovered by the network monitor. Jack would also be hit in the liver by the drone he already felt, bleeding to death. But now, it's all too late. Seeing that the alarm sounded, Adam Hammer and Takemura Goro were about to enter the room. Lin Chao couldn't think about it that much, and stomped his foot directly on Jack's A. Don't force it. Come on down. Ah! What the hell? In Jack's scream, Lin Chao jumped down with the V who hadn't reacted yet. Crash! Puff, puff, puff. After a loud noise, the three of them barely landed safely. At this time, the armed drone above his head also whizzed past, and no three were found. Cough cough. Chao, can you say hello to Imadris next time you ride a horse? Damn. FK, if it weren't for labor, you'd have to fold here. Cough, V, can you get off me first, I can't get angry. Are you alright? Looking at Lin Chao who was pressed down by him, V's face flushed. No wonder she didn't feel uncomfortable falling from such a high place. There is also a personal meat pad under the relationship. Temporarily safe, the three of them chatted while leaning against the wall to relieve their breath. Chao, it's really yours, we made a lot of money even without Relic. Jack said excitedly. Now there is still 10 million euros in his account. That's a whole 10 million euros. By the way, after getting the money just now, why don't you chop up that idiot Lai Xian with one knife, or hijack him so that we can leave the Chuangbi Building safely? Jack asked suspiciously. In his opinion, it is definitely safer to hijack Lai Xian and leave safely than to force his way out later. Lin Chao smiled and shook his head, in that case, things are out of control. In other words, the plot is out of control. Lin Chao silently added in his heart. In fact, up to now, he has done a lot of things, even including the conditions for negotiating with Arasaka Lai. It's all for the sake of the fact that the plot can develop according to the original route after it appears. In this way, you can maximize your advantage. At this time, V, who was still calm, suddenly said, Lin, what is your purpose for doing all this? Lin Chao shrugged and changed a more comfortable posture. You heard that? I want to see the two companies go to war. And then we can wait for the opportunity to see what is cheap. Lin Chao said of course. Hearing Lin Chao's words, V's eyes twitched. Us. Lin Chao nodded and looked at Jack and V with burning eyes. That's right, it's us, don't you want to be a real big man, a living legend? You lunatic. V couldn't help muttering. He was trying to provoke a war between the two major companies, and he wanted to take advantage of them. This is not crazy, who can have such extreme ideas? How about it, do you want to do it? Lin Chao's words were somewhat instigating. Facing Lin Chao's solicitation, both V and Jack fell silent. After a while, Jack gritted his teeth and said, Mirda. MD, if it wasn't for you today, V and I would definitely not have escaped so easily. For big things, count me as Jack Wilson. Seeing Jack agree, a satisfied smile appeared on Lin Chao's face. As for V, he was not anxious. If her personality is similar to her own, then she will never refuse her invitation after measuring. Thinking of this, Lin Chao picked up Ju and stood up. Okay V, it's too late to make this decision when we leave the Chuangbi Building safely. Well, let's go. The two stood up after hearing the words. Under the leadership of Lin Chao, the three left the fallen air conditioning room and continued to find a way out inside the Chuangbi Building. For this route, Lin Chao is quite familiar with it. Even if nothing else, he knew exactly when and where the security guards were armed with what weapons. Sneak downstairs and kill both guards. After opening the door, while one of them was checking the meditation room, Lin Chao quietly broke the other's neck. And V also cooperated with the tacit use of the prosthetic body, and remotely turned off the monitoring that was about to be turned over. You are very professional. Seeing Lin Chao's neat technique, V couldn't help but look sideways. Lin Chao smiled and said, they are all old colleagues. You were also a mercenary? Jack asked in a low voice. There were some doubts in his eyes. As far as they know, Lin Chao has no body, not even a personal link. How did you survive on the battlefield by fighting with pure flesh like this? Damn, it turned out to be in other places. I have a chance to talk to you. Let's go out and talk about it. With that said, Lin Chao took the lead and touched the direction of the meditation room. And then Lin Chao's performance completely shocked V and Jack. Let the two know that he is not just professional. Along the way, Lin Chao brought out his previous assassination experience and his knowledge of the game to the fullest. So that V and Jack had no chance at all except for occasionally helping to close a surveillance black artificial eye. If you know so much about the Chuangbi Building, who is he? The two were completely dumbfounded. For Lin Chao's ability, he is even more convinced. It can be said that the three of them came to the elevator leading to the parking lot without any effort at all. At this point, Lin Chao couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. The reason why he chose to sneak all the way over was mainly because he didn't want to wake up the mecha in the Qingbai Hall. God knows what kind of intensity that thing is in this real world. The three of them are now mortal. Definitely can't stand the large caliber fire of a few rounds of mechs. Ha ha ha, Chao, you're so awesome. We'll be able to withdraw soon. Jack said excitedly while holding relic. While checking the rifle in his hand, Lin Chao said, don't let your guard down, it won't be so easy for the guards in the garage later. According to his customs clearance experience, the guards in the underground garage could not be assassinated by stealth. That is to say, the three of them are about to face a head-on conflict. Asterisk. Chapter 8. Suddenly. Ba, ah. Boom. There were violent gunshots and explosions. With their outstanding combat experience, Jack and V only suppressed the offensive of several security forces on the opposite side. As for Lin Chao, he is holding the hand, relying on the powerful body strengthened by the black light virus, and the cover of the garage vehicle abruptly touched the vicinity of the opposite security force. Super! Hurry up, we're running out of bullets. The moment Jack's voice fell, Lin Chao's figure with a long knife suddenly rushed out of the bunker and went straight to the nearest security guard. Ju's clear blade passed through like a piece of training made by moonlight. The sharp edge easily outpaces the relatively weakly protected neck. Pfft! The bright red blood spurted out, but it didn't stain Lin Chao at all. Because at this time the Jew in his hand had pierced the chest of another person not far away. Whoosh whoosh! At this moment, Lin Chao's figure was like a ghost, shuttled through the battlefield. While avoiding being hit as much as possible, he ruthlessly harvested the guarding power present. So strong! V May's eyes widened, looking at the scene in front of her in disbelief. It was hard for her to believe. How could a person without a prosthetic body be able to burst out such terrifying power and speed simply from the flesh? Of course, Lin Chao at this time is not without a price. There are at least 4 or 5 bullet holes on his body. It's just that under the almost abnormal regeneration ability of the black light virus, it does not affect his actions. SHH. The knife light flashed again. Just as the last security force was about to raise his gun, his right hand was cut off by Lin Chao. Then another knife pierced the head and was completely terminated. Hey, it hurts. Lin Chao grinned and looked at the bullet holes in his body, secretly glad that the system didn't have the ability to regenerate the black light virus. Otherwise, you will really get cold. Super, are you all right? Seeing Lin Chao's face, the two quickly ran over to check the situation. Lin Chao shook his head, it's nothing, get in the car quickly. Welcome back, choose Delaman, and stay out of trouble. As soon as the three got into the car, they heard Delaman's familiar greeting. But at this time Druman's voice rang again. Warm reminder, the number of passengers has changed this time, please access the personal link to confirm your identity. This time, the three of them were stunned. Lin Chao is a pure body, how can there be any personal connection? V frowned and asked, Delaman, let's do it this time, can't I make it up for you next time? Sorry, it's impossible. CTMD is a rental car, can't Lao Z transfer more money to you? Jack was also a little anxious. They were able to escape safely now, and they also took a large sum of money from Lai Xian, all of which was in Lin Chao's light. Just throwing Lin Chao away like this is definitely not his Jack Wilson style. However, Lin Chao shook his head with a wry smile. No one else knew, but he couldn't be more clear. Although the current drumman is also AI, he is very blunt. It's okay, you guys go out first, it just so happens that I have some other things to do. And don't forget, when you get to that fat black Dexter, you must wait until I get there. After that, Lin Chao opened the car door and ran towards the garage door. FK. Lin. V opened the car door and was about to drag Lin Chao, but Jack pulled him back. V, believe Chao, he shouldn't do anything that doesn't take care of me. It's a taxi, if something happens to Lin Chao today, Lao Z will blow up your factory after finishing this ticket. Jack said sternly. Okay Mr. Wilson, may I drive now? Come on. Ding, the task is completed, get a reward of 50,000 euros, the legendary grenade, Orzobus nose *5, the legendary circulatory system prosthesis, Vice Heart. The moment the drumman taxi rushed out of the basement, Lin Chao's system prompt rang. However, before he could check the reward, a loud noise interrupted his thoughts. I saw a tall figure covered in machinery, punching the rear of the taxi. The enormous force made the whole car turn in a circle. The biggest feature of the drumman is that the wagon is more durable. Even after being hit hard, he was able to rush through the barricade and finally escaped with V and Jack. Seeing that the taxi could not catch up, the robot figure turned his attention to Lin Chao. I also missed a little ant. Adam Heavy Hammer walked slowly towards Lin Chao with heavy footsteps. The hideous and ugly face was covered with a playful smile. Lin Chao exhaled slowly, trying to suppress his beating heart. Adam Hammer. This shit can be regarded as Johnny's old enemy. Not only did he catch Johnny 50 years ago, but he also killed Roger at the end of the game with Roger's help. Who can bear this ride? This scourge must be dealt with early. This is one of the main reasons why he stayed. As for grasping, Lin Chao shook his hand behind him slightly, and 3 dark red grenades appeared. It was the legendary grenade he had just acquired, Orzab's Nose. Asterisk. Chapter 9. Looking at Adam Heavy Hammer who was slowly approaching, Lin Chao couldn't help but feel a little apprehensive even though he had a lot of fighting experience in his previous life. Although he said that he now has a black light virus to strengthen his physical body. But God knows how terrifying the Heavy Hammer, a monster whose body is 98% composed of military-grade prosthetics. The reason why he has the courage to stand here now. It was entirely because of the inspiration that Rog gave the hammer in the last level. What's the matter, little ant? Are you too scared to move? Ha, a piece of rotten meat ready to go to the pot. I can QNMD. With an angry shout, Lin Chao suddenly shot without warning. 3 dark red grenades were thrown straight at Adam Hammer. At the same time, Lin Chao's hand flipped again, and another grenade was thrown at the building defense force that had just been swept away by Drumman. Trash means. The Heavy Hammer cursed, and the prosthetic body suddenly erupted with tremendous power, leaving the range of the original grenade explosion in an instant. However, seeing this scene, a smile appeared on Lin Chao's face instead. If the hammer exploded 3 grenades in the air, he would have to turn around and run. But want to hide? The nose of the legendary Orzobio can be avoided so easily. The feature of this thing is to track the target. Whoosh whoosh. The 3 grenades crossed an arc in Adam Heavy Hammer's horrified eyes and directly stuck to him. And Lin Chao is also at this moment, covering his head with one hand, and rushing to Adam with a knife. Boom boom boom. A continuous explosion sounded like a thunder on the ground. The building's defense force, which could not react at all, was blown up in an instant. As for Adam Heavy Hammer, who was nailed to his body by 3 grenades, it was engulfed by the rich firelight. Puff puff. The shrapnel shot in all directions, and a series of blood flowers bloomed on Lin Chao. But even so, he still gritted his teeth and rushed into the fire. Dang dang dang, bass. Bang. A series of golden and iron symphony and the sound of falling to the ground at noon sounded one after another. After the fire and smoke had completely dissipated, the tragic scene was revealed. At this time, Adam's heavy hammer has completely turned into an Iron Man stick. His limbs have been cut off. His chest was also scorched black and tattered, and mouthfuls of green electrolyte were continuously vomited from his mouth. The original infamous Adam Heavy Hammer has completely turned into a bulk cargo at this time. However, Lin Chao is also not much better. All over his body were wounds from grenade fragments. Even the legendary Jew cracked a few small holes because of the titanium alloy bones of Adam's Heavy Hammer. The most important thing is that at this time, Adam Heavy Hammer's broken arm was inserted into his abdomen, holding his spine tightly. FK. Lin Chao fell to his knees with a pale face. The body from the waist down was sore and numb, unable to support the body at all. Haha, cough, little BD, I see how you will die later. Adam Hammer looked at Lin Chao fiercely. At this time, although he was cut into a stick. However, since it was originally a prosthetic body made of machinery, as long as you go back and repair it, you can completely restore it. And now Lin Chao, who can't walk at all. It is already doomed to be unable to escape the Arasaka family's roundup. Looking at Heavy Hammer's smug smile, Lin Chao also cracked the corners of his mouth. Everything, don't be so sure. Crack, puff. AFK. As the blood spurted, Lin Chao forcibly pulled the severed arm of the Heavy Hammer out of his lower abdomen. including the vertebra held by the broken arm. With a pop, Lin Chao fell to the ground. Completely paralyzed, he has lost the ability to move. Seeing such a terrifying scene, even Adam Heavy Hammer couldn't help but be moved. You, a lunatic. How extreme is the person in front of him? Can you do something like snapping your spine abruptly? Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. Although Lin Chao fell to the ground, his laughter grew louder. Because he can feel that the black light virus in his body is reorganizing his body and recovering his injuries at an extremely terrifying speed. Suddenly, Lin Chao's legs moved. Then he, who had fallen to the ground, slowly propped up his body and stood up staggeringly. The originally messy lower abdomen now has a large number of black and red flesh and blood tentacles constantly surging. After only half a breath, the flesh and blood tentacles disappeared. All injuries are fully recovered as before. No. Impossible. It's absolutely FG impossible. Adam Hammer looked at Lin Chao, who had no injuries at all, in horror. The scene in front of him was completely beyond his comprehension. Even after staying in Arasaka for so long, he has not seen anything that can make a person's body heal quickly. And it's still such a terrifying injury. At this time, Lin Chao's eyes were full of excitement. He was right. He really killed Adam Hammer. You like pinching other people's vertebrae, right? Lin Chao squeezed his fists and walked towards the heavy hammer, which was powerless to resist. Thinking of how he killed Rog back then, he almost killed himself now. Lin Chao's anger didn't come out of nowhere. Today Lao Zi will let you taste this too. Lin Chao's voice fell, and Zhu stabbed with two knives in his hand, and directly lifted the armor on the back of the hammer. Then he grabbed his titanium alloy vertebra and lifted his entire body. Ah 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 ah! Little BD, I'm going to kill you. The pain from the neural coordinator made the hammer almost mad. However, in the state of being a stick, he can only rely on one mouth to output. Okay, you're only verbal now, let's go, Lao Zi will take you out for a yo bend. Seeing that the defense force of the building in the distance came again, Lin Chao picked up the human stick and heavy hammer, and quickly escaped from the range of the Chuangbi Building. Chapter 10. Jack, Lin, will he be okay? V frowned and looked out the window, a look of worry in his eyes. Jack frowned and shook his head. When they left, they clearly saw the legendary figure, Adam Heavy Hammer. And Lin Chao couldn't escape in the car like they did. In case the two meet sooner. Thinking of the scene where the two met Lin Chao for the first time, he beat his thigh hard. Damn, we were holding a gun to Chao's head. V bowed his head in shame. The two of them have just received a communication from T-Bug. The general meaning is that T-Bug asked them to thank Lin Chao for their help. Because just as she left her hiding spot, it was taken over by the armed guard. If it wasn't for Lin Chao's reminder this time, let her open Relic's safe and leave immediately. I'm afraid she is dead. Knowing this, Jack and V also completely believed in Lin Chao's goodwill towards them. At this time, thinking about what they had just experienced in the Chuangbi Building, they suddenly came to their senses. Lin Chao saved them more than once. Even the 10 million he grabbed was still lying quietly on Jack's account. 10 million. A villa in North Oak is just that price. How can you trust them? Thinking that they almost died in Cyangbi, and Lin Chao had no news, Jack opened the car door and was about to get out of the car. MD, I'm going to find Deshawn's trash to settle accounts. V quickly grabbed him. Jack. Lin said let's wait for him. Wait for chicken feathers, we have all seen it, that TM is a heavy hammer. Adam Heavy Hammer. Jack clenched his fists tightly. Anger and remorse almost filled his chest. Lin Chao believed in them so much, yet they left Lin Chao alone to face a legendary figure like Hammer. So boring. At this moment, a look of surprise appeared on V's face. Jack. Get your weapon. Jack was stunned for a moment, then looked back quickly. I saw a police jeep of the Armed Defense Forces speeding towards the two of them. Damn it, didn't you get rid of it? Jack hurriedly got back into the car and took out his two pistols, the golden ones are very ladylike. Squeak. The jeep braked suddenly and stopped not far from the two of them. Hey! 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 Put the gun down! A familiar voice came, and Lin Chao got out of the car and raised his hands with a wry smile. Seeing that it was Lin Chao, V and Jack dropped their guns in surprise. Lin! Is there any injury? We will take you to find Lao Wei now. Padre Celestial, Heavenly Father bless, good to see you boy again. The two quickly approached Lin Chao and looked at it. He seemed to want to see if he was injured. But soon, the careful V found something strange. Lin, why are you wearing the clothes of the Armed Defense Bureau? Lin Chao chuckled, sorry, the one I was wearing was covered in blood, so when I robbed the car, I picked up a set to wear. This time, I grabbed the car and ripped off the equipment. Lin Chao can also be considered to be in Night City, and he did as the locals do. Okay, let's put the car here first, let's talk to Dexter Deshawn first. A sneer appeared on the corner of Lin Chao's mouth. Dexter Deshawn, Night City's most successful top broker, or middleman. Has the most extensive contacts and the best mercenaries. This order to steal relics business is what he sent to V and Jack. However, it is this black fat man who claims to have never fired a single bullet in his life. In the original work, after learning that V had provoked Arasaka, he turned his face and didn't recognize the person, and shot V's head with one shot. It can be said that half of the reason for the tragic ending of the whole game is because of him. Lin, what's your holiday with Dexter? V looked at Lin Chao suspiciously. Lin Chao sneered and said, festivals? You'll find out later. You do as I say. Dong dong dong, dong dong dong. Let me in, V knocked heavily on the door of room 204. The door opened, and Dexter's bodyguard looked around. Come in, he's waiting. V walked into the room with a cold face. In the room, Dexter frowned and smoked a cigar without even looking at V. Instead, he was staring at the news on the TV that Saburo Arasaka was killed and died. WNS, 54, even the underground network. Everywhere is talking about you. Where's Jack kid? Still in the car. Dexter looked at V. V said coldly, you don't care about Jack's life or death at all, do you? Dexter frowned. You better be careful with your words. The back seat of the car, lost too much blood, died. Dexter was silent for a moment, his eyes narrowed slightly. Then I'm deeply sorry. Where's my chip? V shook his head, I didn't get it. Hey, Dexter took a cigar, and the smoke made it hard to see what he was thinking. Arasaka Saburo is dead. Do you know how much trouble you have caused me? You killed the Emperor. It's a goddamn god. No matter who it is, as long as it has something to do with this matter, it's going to die. Hearing Dexter's words, V also fires. Isn't this a shit job you arranged? How did you do the preparatory work, Don't you know that Saburo Arasaka will go to the Chuangbi Building? I can't see his personal itinerary. Dexter said angrily with a cigar in one hand. Besides, who asked you to kill that old guy again? That's not what we can kill. FK. Go talk to those Arasaka ninjas who are chasing you. After a quarrel, both of them sank, and the room fell into silence. After a moment, Dexter seemed to calm down first. Okay, calm down first, this thing has to talk about strategy. New place, new identity, but first of all, your face is all spent, go wash it first. The restroom is over there. Hearing this, a cold light flashed in V's beautiful eyes. But she did not refuse Dexter's request and walked into the bathroom. Looking at the closed bathroom door, Dexter's face darkened completely, and then he gave his bodyguard a wink. The bodyguard nodded and quietly came to the door of the bathroom. Chapter 11. Walking into the bathroom, V took a deep breath. Looking at herself in the mirror, a faint sneer appeared on the corner of her mouth. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Turn to the largest faucet and the water gushes out. Under the cover of the noise, V pulled out the King Kong that Lin Chao had given him from under his suit jacket. Check the magazine, load, and open the safety. The action is smooth, in one go. Just before going upstairs to look for Dexter Deshawn, Lin Chao warned her. This black fat man, after learning the seriousness of the matter, is likely to attack her suddenly. But between Dexter Deshawn and his bodyguard, there is no way to please her in a head-to-head confrontation. So the trick may be to trick her into the bathroom, and then take advantage of the sneak attack when she comes out. For Lin Chao, V still believed. But after all, the other party was one of the most famous middlemen in Night City, and she didn't think Dexter would ruin her reputation like this. Jack was equally skeptical. But after all, the person who said this was Lin Chao. Out of prudence and trust in Lin Chao, the two finally decided to keep their eyes peeled. Until Dexter Deshawn, the dead fat man, told her to go to the bathroom. V only finally realized. Things seem really going in the direction Lin Chao predicted. If it is like this, then the moment I left the bathroom, V's beautiful blue eyes flashed coldly, and he gently opened the bathroom door. Call. A piercing fist blows. V, who was already prepared at the prompt of Lin Chao, leaned over without hesitation, easily dodging the sneak attack of the strong bodyguard. Then he took out King Kong and raised his hand to get 2 shots. Va! Va! Between the splashes of blood, the brawny bodyguard whose Tianling cover had been lifted, couldn't rest his eyes. Va! Another shot rang out, and V closed King Kong's insurance with a pretty face. Dexter clutched his broken right prosthesis in horror. And the pistol he had just pulled out returned fell to the side. V, listen to my explanation. Shut up, Jack, Lin, come in. Hearing V's words, Dexter looked at the door suspiciously. I saw Jack, who was unhappy, and an oriental man with a long knife that he had never seen before walking in. You're not dead, Jackie? He is. Dexter said in surprise. However, the answer to him was a big kick from Jack. IQNMD. Va. Jack's foot is really not light. It made Dexter, who was almost 300 pounds, roll on the ground several times until he hit the wall and stopped. It can be seen that Jack is angry at this time. He and Lin Chao could hear the conversation just now clearly outside the door. If you can't get rid of the pot, you will have to make a black hand. If not for Lin Chao's warning just now, it is impossible to say that even if he and V escaped from the Arasaka building alive, they would have to end up here with this damn fat man. Who can endure this? V is also squatting next to Dexter, whose sunglasses are shattered, with the King Kong in his hand against his head. You were trying to kill me just now, right? No V, that's just my confusion, you have to believe me. Hey! Confused for a while. V laughed angrily, then do you want me to be confused now for you to see? Just when V was about to pull the trigger, her pupils suddenly lit up. The figure on the side of the communication made V startled. Then she turned to look at Lin Chao. Lin, Lai Xian Arasaka is looking for you. Arasaka? Dexter looked at Lin Chao in disbelief. What is the situation with TMD now? Didn't it say that V and Jake killed Saburo Arasaka? Why did Arasaka Raisin find them directly by means of communication? And who is this mysterious oriental man who hasn't said a word since he came in? Why did Lai Xian find him through V? What complex relationship is there that you don't know about? For a time, Dexter had even forgotten that he had a gun on his forehead. Looking for me? V was silent for a while, as if he was communicating with Arasaka Raisin. Then her face suddenly became a little shocked. and she raised her head and conveyed, he asked you if Adam Heavy Hammer is in your hands. Oh, Heavy Hammer, what's in the trunk of the car, that's all. Lin Chao buttoned his ears and said impatiently. He does not mean that. Hearing Lin Chao's answer, even V and Jack were stunned. Trunk? Heavy Hammer? That guy's physique, plus a half-ton full-body prosthetic body. Can that tonnage stay in the trunk of the police jeep he drives? Besides, even if he could, how did Lin Chao manage to keep the legendary Adam Hammer in that kind of place? Lin Chao spread his hands. You don't have to look at me like that. He cut off all his arms and legs. It's natural to put them in. V and Jake felt like they were suffocating. Cut off all the arms and legs of the hammer. How strong is this Lin Chao who has been following them all the time? On the other side, Dexter Deshawn, who also had a black face, almost turned white with fright. He didn't think that the man in front of him was talking wildly. The person on the other side of the phone was Arasaka, and there was no point in talking like this. You told Lai Xian that I won't return the heavy hammer. Even if the pervert stays by his side, it will be a scourge. For the smooth progress of the cooperation and for his safety, I reluctantly helped him solve it. Let him not need to thank me. Well, if you really want to thank me, I will pay more. I accept it with reluctance. Lin Chao said with a naive smile. Hearing this, even seeing Dexter Deshawn's angry V and Jack at this time, they couldn't help but laugh. Good guy. Killing people's subordinates is also said to be for the good of others. What kind of bullshit is this? On the other end of the communication, Arasaka's face turned blue and purple when he heard V's remarks. But thinking of the help Lin Chao can bring him in the future, he finally swallowed this bad breath. Isn't it just a set of military-grade prosthetics? Just find someone else to put it on. You tell him, let him have a good life for me. Leaving the next sentence, Arasaka Lai Xian angrily hung up the communication. Then, he continued to rummage in his room. No, I clearly remember that King Kong is placed here. Chapter 12. In room 204, there was a dead silence. Dexter was looking at Lin Chao not far away with a ghostly look. This person actually killed Adam Hammer. And to listen to what he said, he and V and Jack seemed to be working with Arasaka Raisin. It seems that he is still in the lead. The situation is not at all as reported on TV. This, just a few hours, what happened in the middle of the ride? Damn, I don't like men, it's useless for you to stare at me like that. Lin Chao said abruptly. Then, holding the sleep in his hand, he squatted beside V and looked at Dexter. I think you should know your fate, right? Mr. Lin, I have no ill intentions towards you. Stop! Lin Chao stopped Dexter's panicked help, and said with a smile, it's V and Jack who should apologize. Besides, do you think it's enough to just talk about this kind of thing? Following Lin Chao's prompt, Dexter's eyes suddenly lit up, and then he quickly said to V and Jack. Brother Jack, V, I was confused just now, I am willing to make up for you. I'll give you all my money, and then I'll leave Night City and leave here forever. What do you think? Dexter looked at V and Jack expectantly. As long as he can escape this catastrophe, he will leave Night City to seek a life in Space City. He believes that with his own skills, even if he starts from scratch again, he will not be too bad. Hearing Dexter's condition, V and Jack's faces remained the same. For them, some things are more important than money. However, at this time, Lin Chao said, okay, transfer money. Forest. V frowned at Lin Chao. She was very puzzled. Just outside, Lin Chao talked about Dexter's apparent desire to kill him right away. Why is it so easy to be bought by money now? Besides, he should respect his and Jack's choice in this matter. Dexter saw that there was a play, and hurried to operate quickly. V, look at it, the 23 million euros in a villa in the North Oak district have all been transferred to you. Mr. Lin, look. Dexter looked at Lin Chao with hope. Well, it's here. V replied with a cold face. It can be seen that she is very upset now. Jack also sat on the side without saying a word, not knowing what he was thinking. Lin Chao nodded with satisfaction. Don't worry, I promise that the two of them won't hurt you again. Humph. V snorted and got up, walked to the sofa and sat down. V, I don't think it's that simple. Jack suddenly whispered. V turned his head and looked at Jack suspiciously. Jack's originally expressionless face suddenly showed a smile. Look at it, I have never missed it, Chica, sister. On the other side, Dexter's face was full of joy. Don't worry, Mr. Lin, this kind of thing will never happen again. Lin Chao nodded with a smile. This time it's a bad deal, so be careful in your next life. Yes, yes, my next life. Pfft. The blood-stained silver-white blade protruded from Dexter's back. You. Dexter raised his hand laboriously, pointing at Lin Chao. His eyes were full of despair and resentment. And Lin Chao also put away his cynical smile at this time, and said with a sullen face, I only said that V and Jack would not shoot, and I never said that I would not. If you hack someone once, don't blame others for hacking you once. Desperate. If it wasn't me, who would be so desperate now? Is it Jack who was not spared? Or V who was betrayed by you? You feel that these hatreds can be offset by your stinky money. Go to hell. Stupid. Base. The voice fell, and the blade of Jew flashed, cutting Dexter's fat body in half. Puff, puff. Accompanied by two muffled beeps. That night city's most famous middleman, Dexter Deschamps, was completely killed by Lin Chao's knife. Linear. You. Seeing this scene, the anger in V's heart disappeared instantly. Especially what Lin Chao said just before he killed Dexter. She just said everything she wanted to say. Plus the last brutal knife. It's so frustrating. What's wrong with me? Did you just get angry? Lin Chao wiped the blood from the blade on Dexter, then walked towards V with a smile. V embarrassedly avoided Lin Chao's sight and complained, it's not because you didn't discuss it with me in advance. Lin Chao smiled and shook his head, this dead fat man is very smart. If we discuss it in advance, we have to let him see something. How will you search for him then? Ha ha ha, Chao is right, V, I'll say it's not that simple. Jack also interjected with a proud look. Afterwards, he rubbed his hands excitedly, this ticket is really enjoyable. I grabbed 10 million from Lai Xian, and Dexter made another 23 million, plus a villa in North Oak. If you want me to say, we should drink him in the dark tonight. However, in the face of Jack's proposal, Lin Chao smiled helplessly, I can't do it tonight, I still need to ask you for help. Chapter 13. Hello, I'm Lin Chao. Looking at the man in front of him, Lin Chao kindly extended his hand. Victor, just like them, you can just call me Lao Wei. Dr. Victor shook hands with Lin Chao, with a warm smile on his face. Thank you for saving these two reckless guys, Linear. It's just a little effort. Lin Chao smiled. For Lao Wei, he is also full of goodwill. This special prosthetic doctor has brought great help to the protagonist. Without Lao Wei, V would not be able to survive the main quest at all. There is even a branch line here to repay the 21,000 euros owed, even if it is not done, there is no problem. It can be said that Lao Wei completely regards V as his own child. In this night city that eats people without spitting bones, it can be said that it is very rare to have a friend like Lao Wei. Lao Wei, I still need you to do me two little favors here. The price is easy to negotiate. Lin Chao said straight to the point. Victor nodded, no problem, Lin, as long as it is within my ability. Boom. The human stick and heavy hammer was carried by Lin Chao's spine and threw it on the ground. You. Lin Chao stuffed a large mass of unknown objects into his mouth. All his screams and curses were blocked. Victor, V, and Jack watched this scene in horror. Although Lin Chao had already greeted them in advance. But they couldn't help but be shocked when they saw this legend who was cut into a stick with their own eyes. Lao Wei, can you help me prolong this guy's life as much as possible? I have other uses for keeping him. Victor didn't answer Lin Chao directly, but squatted down to check the status of the hammer. Well, although the main exoskeleton is seriously damaged, the structure and nervous system inside are still intact. However, the central circulation system seems to have been severely shaken, and a lot of electrolyte has been lost. What I can replace here are just some parts that can't be put on the table, and it can maintain his life for 2 weeks at most. Hearing Victor's conclusion, Lin Chao nodded with satisfaction. Enough, but then again, Lao Wei, the prosthetic body on this guy should be worth a lot of money, right? Victor nodded, indeed, although the circulatory system, epidermal system, bones and limbs have been damaged to varying degrees. But other than that, the frontal cortex, nervous system, immune system, and the main operating system should be fine. The stuff on Atom Heavy Hammer, you don't need to look at it to know that it must be some rare high-end goods on the market. Not bad. Lin Chao rubbed his chin and began to think of a human stick and a heavy hammer. Lao Wei, can you replace his prosthetic body with some inferior products? It's a waste of good things to put on him, isn't it? Hearing this, the heavy hammer, who was lying on the ground, whimpered again. He knows it now. This weird kid is just playing him in a different way. As for V and Jake, the eyes that look at the heavy hammer also become a bit playful. It looks like I can earn another vote. No problem, but in this case, he may only have a week to live. Lao Wei looked at Atom Heavy Hammer sympathetically. The legend of the dignified Night City actually ended up like this. Who could have imagined this? Lin Chao nodded with satisfaction. No problem, 1 week is enough, let's start now. 2 hours later, there were several small-looking but extremely delicate chip prostheses on Lao Wei's operating table. Limbic system enhancement in frontal cortex, and visual cortical support. Variant I Type 3 of the visual system. Full-scale resistance of the immune system. Krenzikov of the nervous system, response coordinator. And the military tech Rampage 5 operating system. Be nice. They are all legendary prosthetics. No wonder this Atom Hammer is the final boss of the entire game. Watching the system feed back the item information, Lin Chao secretly clicked his tongue. As for the heavy hammer that had been replaced with a spicy chicken whiteboard prosthesis at this time, Zheng Sheng was lying on the side without love, his eyes were very empty. Okay, Lin, what are you going to do with these prosthetics? Victor asked while wiping the electrolyte on his hands. Lin Chao smiled, wouldn't it be a waste not to install such a good thing? Full-scale resistance, reaction coordinator, and Krenzikov help me install it. Oh, yes, by the way, help me do a basic prosthetic transformation. It's kind of inconvenient to hang around in Night City without personal connections, built-in communications, nerve sockets. This is really a big project. Victor smiled wryly. He also roughly observed Lin Chao's current situation before. A perfect natural person, at least from the outside, there is no trace of transformation. In this case, the basic transformation is carried out. Fortunately, he still has the experience of a surgeon. Otherwise, ordinary people would not dare to do such a thing. Lin, are you sure? V on the side couldn't help but look at Lin Chao. Lin Chao spread his hands indifferently, I can't be more sure, otherwise I can't keep asking you to help. Lin, please prepare first, this time may be longer. Victor informed and began to prepare. By the way, help me borrow Misty from Jack, I need a striker. Okay, here we go. Lin, let me ask before the surgery, don't you put on all the rest of the prosthesis? Seeing Victor ask, Lin Chao shook his head and said, the others are of little use to me. When the time comes, let V and Jack choose one, and leave the rest as your reward. There was a smile in Lao Wei's eyes. You are such a generous friend. Asterisk. Chapter 14. Lao Wei, how is Lin's condition? V and Jack, who had been waiting outside for the night, saw Victor come out to breathe, and immediately surrounded them. This, how can I say? Victor looked weird. Even Misty, who followed him out, was extremely pale. Seeing this, both V and Jack groaned in their hearts. It is said that the first renovation is the highest risk. Could it be that the operation failed? Forest. V pushed aside Lao Wei and rushed into the clinic. But in the next second, she was completely frightened by the scene in front of her. At this time, Lin Chao, who was in a coma, had a large number of tentacles of black and red flesh on the surgical wound on his body, entangled in unconscious surging. Wherever flesh and blood tentacles pass, wounds heal. Not even the slightest scar can be seen. What is this, what? I don't know either. Old Wei took Jack and Misty and walked in behind V. I've never heard of Lin's condition. Since the operation last night, these ghosts have continued to appear in Lin's body and wounds. But they look a little disgusting, but they seem to be protecting the forest. These ghosts can not only strengthen Lin's body in all aspects, but also speed up the recovery of his wounds. It's like a living body. Hearing Victor's conclusion, both V and Jack were dumbfounded. As for what these things are, I'm afraid only Lin himself knows. Victor sighed. What he saw and heard today was definitely the most absurd thing in his life. Living body. Who can believe this? I can't say for sure that it is Arasaka or a laboratory product of military technology. Shaking his head, he placed the rest of the prosthesis in front of V and Jack. If there is no accident, the effect of the medicine should last for a while. Lin also left you a few prosthetics. You can choose and I will install it for you. Leave it for us. V and Jack looked at each other, a little moved on their faces. These prosthetics are all rare, let's forget it. V finally shook his head. They had only known Lin Chao for a day, and they had already benefited greatly from him. How can I still take his things now? Victor said with a smile, don't rush to refuse. Lin asked me to tell you that he will fight side by side in the future, and he doesn't want you to be held back. Hearing this, V and Jack froze for a moment, and then the corners of their mouths rose slightly. It seems that their duo will become an iron triangle in the future. Then I want that military technology Berserk 5 operating system. Jack rubbed his hands and was no longer polite. V refers to the visual cortex support, then I want this. Okay, wait for me to prepare, and I'll help you install it. God dong dong, gudong dong, gudong dong. A strange double heartbeat sounded gradually in Lin Chao's consciousness. Then a red operation interface lights up. A string of codes swiped. Progress bar reading. System starts. Network architecture, prosthetic diagnosis, security system. Is it remodeled? The system interface disappears and the vision returns to normal. Lin Chao sat up slowly, clutching his aching head. How does it feel? The head may be a little bit swollen, and the transition between consciousness and data still needs to be adapted. Victor's voice came from the side. At this point he is installing the operating system for Jack. Lin Chao took a deep breath and stood up. It feels a little weird, but it's okay. It's an ordinary person. You have to lie on the bed for a week for your first transformation. Your body is a bit special, can you understand what I mean? Victor's dull voice was somewhat curious. Lin Chao nodded and said, that's right, there's something special about me, it's material or something. The product of the laboratory. It is. Lin Chao did not hide this. Anyway, as long as you use your abilities, you will be discovered sooner or later. Instead, it is better to take the initiative, to be honest. Unlucky little guy. Victor shook his head. At this time, in his mind, the scene of Lin Chao struggling in the laboratory, and then being studied again and again, has emerged. The tight-lipped motel at this time, room 204. A middle-aged man in a straight suit with a bald head was frowning at the bodies of Dexter and his bodyguard. In his hand, is a note. If you want to find me, please throw the dead fat man's body in the junkyard near the Medsky gas station, that's where it's supposed to be. After doing all this, you will naturally see me. Hyuxia characters. Hyuxia people, it's really tricky. The man in the formal suit sighed, feeling more and more difficult. It can be seen from this simple note. The person he was looking for actually guessed that he would come, and even knew the purpose of his coming. He didn't tell anyone about this. It is said that the people of that great eastern country are all witty and smart, and he can be considered to have seen it now. With a sigh, the man in suit began to dispose of Dexter's body. To find out the truth of the matter, he has to do these things. Asterisk. Chapter 15. Chao, why do we go to that garbage dump when we have nothing to do? Jack asked inexplicably. He and V had just finished installing the new prosthetic body when they were pulled by Lin Chao and drove to the garbage dump outside the city. Go save someone with me first, it might be cold if you go late. In Lin Chao's mind, the figure of Goro Takemura appeared. Takemura Goro, this cute and rigid guy, left a deep impression on him. Even after the third week of the game, I learned that I can save this product. Lin Chao resolutely opened another gear. Although it is said that he is the most loyal person around Saburo Arasaka. Also an uncompromising company dog. He was even able to give up his position in the company in order to avenge Saburo Arasaka, and dared to oppose Saburo Arasaka. But he also saved V, and the Bushido spirit in him is also the shining point of this era. If it is possible, Lin Chao hopes to dig him over from Saburo Arasaka. It was a pity that Takemura was with that kind of person. I left a note for him in room 204. According to that guy's rigid nature, in order to get what he wants, he should do what he says. And he went to the junkyard, and the plot should be back on track. At that time, naturally, it will run into the killer that Arasaka Raisin sent to kill him. During the game plot, V, who has his own control, helped him kill the killer. He is the only one left now, and if no one helps, there is no doubt that there will be any accident. And I just took this opportunity to try out this new prosthetic body. Thinking of this, Lin Chao, who was sitting side by side with V in the back seat of the car, showed a smile on his face. Arasaka-sama, I have found a way to contact the murderer of your father. Yes, he left a note for me. It should be an appointment to meet at the garbage dump outside the city. I'm here now, and I'll try to bring him back. I'll be there in an hour. Goro Takemura hung up the phone with Arasaka and continued to wait for Lin Chao to arrive at the garbage dump. For Saburo Arasaka's death, he has been brooding. As a professional, how could he not see it? Saburo did not die of poisoning as Lai Xian said, but from trauma. And the reason why he wants to continue to track down the murderer. Just to give myself courage. The courage to face the truth. Humph, a loyal dog who was nostalgic for his dead master, ready to bark at his new master. Arasaka Raisin, who turned off the communication, flashed a cold light in his eyes. Then he opened the communication again. The garbage dump outside the city, take out Bamboo Village for me. Yes, right now. The blue light in his eyes went out, and fear flashed across Arasaka Raisin's face. That Lin Chao, how could he be found by that guy in Takemura so easily? Could it be that he left some clues on purpose? That guy, what is he going to do? Anger. Ba, ah. Da-da-da. The manic engine sound, the violent gunshots, constantly echoed on the highway outside Night City. At this time, Goro Takemura was driving a convertible sports car without a windshield, confronting several cyber mercenaries riding motorcycles and holding firearms. Just when he was waiting in the garbage dump, this mercenary attacked him. In desperation, he could only drive away. However, these people seem to be well prepared, so that the current situation is in jeopardy. BD, who is it? Takemura slammed on the accelerator, while the thoughts in his mind flew. Is it the mysterious man who left a note for himself, or is it Arasaka Rajuan? Anger. There was another screeching roar of the engine. A cyber mercenary riding a motorcycle has chased the side of the sports car. The submachine gun in his hand has been aimed at Takemura. Bang! Amidst the sudden loud noise, an opposing police jeep smashed the cyber mercenary into pieces. And then a handsome drift, biting tightly in the back of Takemura's sports car. It was Lin Chao who grabbed the police jeep before. This scene made Takemura's heart skip a beat again. Could it be that this is also to hunt down and kill yourself? At the moment when he was distracted, an extremely agile figure jumped onto his sports car from the locomotive on the other side. Base. The sharp mantis knife popped out and stabbed the vital point of Zamura. Simply Takemura's reaction was fast enough, and he hurriedly turned the steering wheel to defuse the offensive. But the mantis knife mercenary was still standing on the car, and raised the mantis knife high, ready to launch the next round of offensive. Jack, hold the car, I'll deal with that mercenary. Lin Chao explained, opened the door and turned over to the roof of the jeep. Looking at the scene in front of him, he secretly rejoiced in his heart that he was here in time. Otherwise, it will be later, and Takemura will have to explain it here. Hey! Since I can still use the things and skills in the game, I hope this can be useful. Lin Chao took a deep breath, stood on the roof of the car, aimed at the mercenary on the car and Zamura in the distance, and held Aju in a defensive stance. The next second, he rushed forward. Krenzikov, start. Chapter 16. Boom. With a loud bang, the heavily armored jeep roof sank in a big chunk. At the moment when this power burst out, Lin Chao suddenly felt that the world was being stretched and time was slowing down. The only thing unaffected by this slow event is his own thoughts. Success. Lin Chao, who successfully activated the Krenzikov feature, was overjoyed. Afterwards, he quickly restrained his mind and released the blocking stance. The moment the time-slowing effect disappeared, the force on his feet burst out again. Boom! Whoosh! The next moment, Lin Chao, who was still standing on the roof of the car, disappeared instantly. I saw a bright sword light across the sky. The mercenary who was waving the mantis knife and was about to row at Goro Takemura suddenly stopped moving. After a moment of silence, blood spurted out from his waist. The whole person was directly cut in half. What is this? Takemura Goro looked in disbelief. Even if he glanced at his Chiluzi Type 3, he could only barely catch a vague shadow flying by. Then the mercenary was beheaded. Who is it that can be so fast? And why should this man help himself? Plop plop. On the road a few hundred meters away, a figure quickly rolled back several times like a ball, bounced on the ground several times, and then slowly stopped the momentum. It was Lin Chao. However, his current state is indeed a bit miserable. The limbs and even the neck showed a strange bend. It was obviously broken. The flesh of the clothes on his body was even more rubbed into a bloody mess. A large number of black light viruses are rapidly repairing this rag doll-like body. Ah! I rub, it hurts. Lin Chao was about to cry. He still missed it after all the calculations. The super athletic ability given to him by Krenzikov's super jump and the black light virus is terrifying when superimposed. Just when the second power burst, he felt that something was wrong. However, it was too late. Under the blessing of two violent forces, his whole person almost broke through the speed of sound. The price, of course, is that his internal organs are already torn apart. After landing, due to the strong inertia brought by the high speed, the body was severely injured. If not for the black light virus, I am afraid that this time he will directly activate the effect of the second life of the auxiliary heart. Hey, such an exaggerated thing, I should use it less in the future. Lin Chao felt relieved that his injuries were improving rapidly. Call. Takemura's sports car and Jack's jeep whizzed past not far from Lin Chao. There was no sign of stopping. Jack, it looked like there was a naked man lying on the side of the road just now. It must have been the unlucky scavenger. V hit the attention, and someone came again. The corners of Lin Chao's eyes twitched as he looked at the two cars that were moving away quickly. But he turned his head and rejoiced again. It's a good thing that his embarrassed appearance was not recognized. Otherwise it would be embarrassing. It really detracts from the mysterious image at the beginning. Feeling that his body had almost recovered, Lin Chao struggled to stand up and moved his body. Phew! I hope my strengthened body will be strong enough. Lin Chao whispered something, and then focused a lot of attention on his legs. Holding the Ju in his hand, he took a starting position. Gollum! It seems to feel Lin Chao's will. A trail of tiny black-red flesh and blood vines began to surge on his legs. Bang! With a muffled sound, Lin Chao's figure shot out. Although not as fast as just using the Krenzikov super jump. But it is also a speed that is extremely difficult for ordinary people to achieve. Boom bang bang! Under the violent force endowed by the black light virus, Lin Chao completely explained what it means to take one step at a time. While the huge force shattered the asphalt road, the reaction force also gave him a running speed like a moving car. MD, we're running out of bullets, Lin. V knocked on the roof of the car, signaling Lin Chao above to make his move quickly. She didn't know it yet. Lin Chao had already left the roof just now. At that moment, the only one who could barely capture Lin Chao's figure was Takemura, who had installed the Chiluzi Type 3. Suddenly, Jack, who was driving the car, froze for a moment, and then said softly, V. Something seems to be coming from behind. Is there another enemy? V frowned and turned the muzzle. However, the sight she saw made her completely dumbfounded. Chapter 17. I saw a figure wearing a cyber mercenary costume at this time, rushing close by relying on his legs at a very high speed. Who else could it be if it wasn't Lin Chao? Lin! Weren't you on the roof just now? Your clothes. I'll explain to you when these minions are resolved. Lin Chao shouted as he ran. V nodded, until now is not the time for small talk. So he turned around again and started pouring fire on the mercenaries ahead. After Lin Chao approached the jeep, he turned over. Not because of anything else. But running like this is really too much energy consumption. I don't feel anything when playing games. But it was really on himself. Lin Chao could clearly feel that the black light virus in his body was frantically consuming the sugar reserves in his body. Mierda! MD, that was super. Jack, who was driving, also reacted this time. Face full of disbelief. This jeep has the gas pedal to the bottom. But Lin Chao chased after him with a pair of legs. It should be the function of his biological prosthesis? Don't worry about it so much, drive your car Jack first. Reaching the roof again, Lin Chao took a breath of relief and assumed a defensive stance again. In the face of this group of difficult mercenaries, he is ready to repeat his old tricks. Charge forward, close the knife, charge forward again. Whoosh! Lin Chao's figure shot out like a rush of electricity again. Just not as exaggerated as last time. With the last lesson, he has restrained a lot of strength this time. After all, the taste of a broken body is not good. SHH. The snow-white sword light turned into a piece of training, and easily killed a mercenary. And Lin Chao also landed safely this time, and again ran fast to approach another mercenary. FK. This guy is too strong. Is this his true strength? After Lin Chao's operation, Jack and V in the car were dumbfounded. With such a powerful physical strength, it is no wonder that Atom Heavy Hammer can be cut into a stick. I am afraid that the legendary lone wolf in the Legend of Night City, Black Hand Morgan, is just like that. Pfft. Ju flew out in a spin and directly inserted into the head of one of the mercenaries, interrupting his about to pull the trigger and falling off the locomotive. Lin Chao's eyes and hands were quick, and he took out his long knife and continued to attack the next target. Soon, with VS fire support and Lin Chao's beheading, a group of cyber mercenaries were quickly wiped out. Takemura Goro was also spared. Who are you? You left the note from the motel. Takemura Goro got out of the car and looked at the three of them. Lin Chao sat down leaning against the street lamp on the side of the road, and said weakly, "First, let me rest for a while. Who has food?" Under the high-intensity exercise, the double consumption of the body and the black light virus made him feel like his body was hollowed out at this time. Also accompanied by bouts of low blood sugar dizziness. The consequence of all this is that Lin Chao looked at the corpse of the mercenary on the roadside and couldn't help swallowing. The black light virus in the body is even more eager to move. But reason told him that eating dead people was not a good habit. Hearing this, Jack quickly took out 2 energy bars from his bag. "Chao, this should last a while." "Thanks, Jack." Looking at the 3 people in front of him, Takemura Goro couldn't help frowning. Until his eyes, inadvertently turned to the Jew beside Lin Chao. "This is Saburo-sama's sword." Crack! Goro Takemura loaded his pistol and aimed directly at Lin Chao, who was sitting on the ground, choking on his energy bar. "Tell me. Who are you, and why is Lord Saburo's knife in your hand?" "Who am I, don't you know?" Lin Chao said calmly. Since he had been shot a few times, he had no feeling for such a small caliber pistol. While nibbling on the energy bar, he said, "We were in Lai Xian's room that day. As for the purpose, you should also know that it is the stolen relic chip." "Lord Saburo." Takemura stepped forward, but was blocked by V and Jack. Lin Chao looks a little weak at the moment. If this Takemura Goro suddenly shot, it would be F.ed. For Goro Takemura's question, Lin Chao did not explain too much, but directly passed the video recorded by Jack that day. "Take a good look, it has what you want in it." Lord Saburo. Arasaka. Lai Xian. Seeing the scene of the father's kindness and filial piety with his own eyes, Takemura's whole person was about to explode with anger. He tried his best to calm down his anger, and bowed to Lin Chao who was sitting on the ground. "Although you are a thief, thank you for your help. I apologize to you for my rudeness just now." After that, he turned and walked towards his sports car. Don't think that a video can make a crotch declaration. You think that only you can see the people in Arasaka. Didn't Saburo die of poisoning? Lin Chao's words stopped Goro Takemura. "I know what you're thinking, but unfortunately, this approach will only put you in danger again, and will have no effect on Lai Xian. To tell you the truth, Saburo Arasaka didn't die at all." "Impossible." Takemura suddenly turned his head to look at Lin Chao who got up. "I personally checked, Lord Saburo, he has digitized his consciousness and uploaded the oracle." Lin Chao laughed. "And you're just one of his abandoned sons." Chapter 18. A mere thief, what do you know? Takemura Goro looked at Lin Chao angrily. The words just now touched his pain point. Lin Chao shrugged and did not refute, but continued, "As a loyal dog of Saburo Arasaka, I am the guardian of the adults." Cough, sorry, right, guard. Lin Chao touched his nose awkwardly. "Teenaines, I visited a lot of forums in my last life, and the word loyal dog popped up subconsciously. As Saburo Arasaka's bodyguard, you should be very aware of the function and existence of the oracle, right? Like Saburo Arasaka's cautious and ambitious character, do you think he would do what I said? This time, Takemura Goro did not refute. Lin Chao looked at Takemura Goro with a half-smiling smile. I think, he must not have told you about this beforehand, right? Takemura Goro frowned and said, Sir, it's for safety. Yes, for his own safety, but abandoning you. If you slander Lord Saburo again, be careful that I'm rude to you. Takemura Goro began to frown a little. However, Lin Chao continued confidently, how vicious is Saburo Arasaka? How could he not know that after his death, your loyal guard might be in danger because of him? But he still hasn't revealed the slightest bit of wind to you. Tisk tisk tisk, I really got a knife in this loyal heart. Enough. Don't say it anymore. Takemura Goro shouted angrily, it was Lord Saburo who gave me a new life. It's my duty to give my life for adults. Lin Chao's eyes jumped, even if you gave everything for Arasaka, it doesn't matter that Arasaka is chasing and killing you now. Yes. Takemura Goro said resolutely. Lin Chao wiped his face helplessly. It seemed that he still underestimated Goro Takemura's loyalty to Saburo Arasaka. That being the case, he has to resort to his trump card. Takemura, have you heard of the paradox of the ship of Theseus? What ship? What paradox? Takemura Goro looked at Lin Chao suspiciously. It's not just him. Even V and Jack were dumbfounded. I was really defeated by your ignorance. Lin Chao shook his head and sighed. It seems that in this magnificent and pitiful era, dazzling material enjoyment has gradually covered the eyes of people at the bottom of society. These are the means for those at the top of the society to stabilize their status. Assuming that the wood in a ship is gradually replaced until all the wood is not the original wood, is this ship still the original ship? Lin Chao asked a crucial question. This. Takemura Goro was stunned for a while. V and Jake also frowned and thought. Lin Chao continued, the basic principle of the oracle is to upload human consciousness in digital form. So, is this string of numbers the person himself, or is it written by a computer and has a new digital consciousness with all the memory characteristics of this person? Takemura Goro opened his mouth, but in the end he didn't say the answer that had already reached his mouth. A pair of fists creaked. But he didn't want to say that V and Jack didn't have so many concerns. V said softly, I think Saburo is really dead, and the one who lives in God's domain is just a digital backup of him. That's not really him. Lin Chao sighed, stepped forward and patted Takemura Goro on the shoulder. Takemura, this is all I have to say, you can think about the rest for yourself. Oh, by the way, only Arasaka Hanako should be able to enter the oracle and talk to Saburo. If you are still unwilling, you can find a way to talk to Arasaka Hanako. Before that, whether Saburo Arasaka is still the Saburo Arasaka you are loyal to, you can find a more professional person to discuss this question. For example, the developer of Relic, Anders Hermann. After that, Lin Chao took V and Jack back to the jeep. By the way, this is my contact information. If you need help, you can call me. Bye. Hold head high. With the roar of the engine, the jeep drove the three of them towards Night City. Only Goro Takemura was left, standing alone on the side of the road, frowning thinking about something. Is it still Lord Saburo? Miss Hwazi? After struggling for a while, Takemura Goro finally didn't come to any conclusion. Thinking of what Lin Chao said just before he left, he frowned. Anders Hermann, that guy has defected from Arasaka, it's really tricky. Do you really want to ask that guy for help? Looking at the contact information left by Lin Chao, Goro Takemura fell silent again. Chao, why should we save that company dog? Wouldn't it be better to let him fend for himself? Jack frowned as he drove. Not difficult to see. He doesn't have the slightest sympathy for the people of Arasaka. Lin Chao smiled and said, "This is my own business, why, can't I just treat it as a favor for my brother?" "Of course it's fine, where are we going now?" Jack asked with a smile. "I have to go back to rest, I'm a little tired." V rubbed his temples. They haven't had much rest since entering the Arasaka building yesterday. In addition, there was another battle just now, it would be a lie to say that you are not tired. Jack nodded, "Okay, then I'll get off at the next intersection and go back to the Wild Wolf Bar." "What about you?" Lin Chao was startled, I don't have a place to live in Night City." Or. He looked at V with a shy face. "Why don't I go to your place for 2 days?" Asterisk. Chapter 19. Damn, I just said that there is no such a good strategy. Lin Chao sat on the bed and shook his head with a wry smile. At this time, he was in an apartment in the skyscraper H10. Of course, it's not V's apartment, but living next door to her. Originally, Lin Chao planned to find a chance to get close to V. It's a pity that some people's intentions seem to be exposed by V at a glance. Without saying a word, she rented another room next door with her own money. Let someone's dream completely turn into a puddle of bubbles. Hey, it's really a long way to go. Lin Chao sighed, got up and opened the big box that was removed from the car. This box contains a hard hammer that has been turned into a human stick, and the prosthetic body has been replaced with a whiteboard. And the relic he wants to get down from V and Jack. After the middleman, Dexter Deshawn, was killed, Evelyn Parker, who posted the mission, was silent. This thing has no value to V and Jack. Va. With the sound of airtightness, the safe containing relic slowly opened. Lin Chao carefully took out the relic chip flowing with a purple halo. This thing looks much more refined than in the game, tisk tisk. In order to prevent the chip from being exposed to the air and affecting its integrity, Lin Chao slowly inserted it into his nerve socket after taking a brief look. I hope the black light virus will give some strength, otherwise this vote will be lost. Lin Chao whispered something, and then pulled out Dexter's retreat. The click pistol is loaded. Call. Taking a deep breath, Lin Chao closed his eyes. Va. After a gunshot, dazzling blood mixed with white brain tissue splattered out. Lin Chao also fell heavily to the ground. However, in the next second, the faint red light turned on and quickly turned off. In less than half a breath, his originally shattered skull was restored to its original state. Lin Chao got up and sat on the ground, silently looking at the system interface. He had entered the cooling sub-heart. Good guy. This stuff really works. But is now your time to make a difference? In desperation, Lin Chao could only raise his gun again and aim it at his temple. Va. Another shot. This time, his consciousness was completely plunged into darkness. In the hustle and bustle, the bright lights on the stage were so dazzling. The man with silver arms is playing the guitar recklessly, as if saying goodbye to everything. Rebellion, resentment, reluctance. All kinds of emotional entanglement. At the end of the last concert, the man lit a cigar and walked out the door without saying a word. At this time, the bandmates ran over quickly and grabbed it. Johnny, wait! Come on, it's too late to turn around now. The man put his arms around his companion's neck. Come here, brother. CTMD band, don't mind the audience, don't mind the cheering, be yourself. This was the last piece of advice he left to his companions. The companion looked at him deeply. BCH, I will miss you very, very much. The man nodded. Then see you in the next life, my friend. After speaking, he pushed open the iron door. The noise of the helicopter propeller outside rolled in instantly. Next to the helicopter is a stern woman who has been waiting for a long time. You are late. The man smiled nonchalantly. I just love to look at you like a mad woman, I'm hard down when I look at it. Come on, don't wait for me to change my mind. The woman said coldly. The whole night city was in chaos, and the helicopter carrying a group of armed men was constantly hovering above the Arasaka tower. Ferocious firepower poured down, completely leveling all air defense forces. The man broke into the Arasaka tower and threw the bomb into the elevator. With the help of hackers, the Liberator virus was uploaded to Arasaka's terminal. Everything went so smoothly. However, just when the man was about to evacuate. Boom! With a loud bang, the door was smashed by the explosion, and even the man was blown away. Fortunately, after the transformation, this aftermath could not pose any threat to him. But... bang! Bang! Heavy footsteps sounded in the smoke, and a burly figure, surrounded by defensive forces, appeared in front of the man. At the same time, the man's concentration also heard the exclamation of his teammates. "FK, that's Adam Hammer. Johnny, run!" Admittedly, Adam Hammer is desperate. Even though the man had tried his best, he still fell at the foot of the hammer in the end. "Heavy hammer! I told you, Johnny, you will die by my hands sooner or later." The voice fell, and the projectile launcher on the hammer's hand turned on and aimed at the man under his feet. Boom! The man's consciousness is blurred. The sky is full of black snow. Blooming mushroom cloud. Arasaka staff wearing radiation protection suits. All this seems to indicate that their attack was successful. The man woke up again, and what caught his eyes was the mushroom cloud that was difficult to dissipate outside the window, and the torturers of Arasaka. Hee. Torture. This is too underestimated by him, Johnny Silverhand. Soon, an old man came over. "Hey, I know you, Saburo Arasaka." The man greeted with a smile. But God knows how much resentment and anger in his voice. Saburo Arasaka said in a deep voice, "Go out, I want to look into his eyes." No one dared to disobey his orders. After a while, only the man, Saburo Arasaka, and a researcher were left in the entire laboratory. The man looked at the mushroom cloud outside the window and couldn't help sighing, "It's really awesome, burn it to ashes." The researchers debugged the instruments in their hands with expressionless faces. "My husband died in the tower." As she spoke, she put an instrument on the man's head and said, "But in this world, there is a fate more tragic than death." Lin Chao's consciousness gradually recovered. What caught his eye was a familiar black-blue virtual space. A vague figure was standing beside him. Seeing this scene, and recalling the memories of Johnny Silverhand that emerged in his mind, how could he not know? "I succeeded. Well, or rather half the battle. At least he didn't hang up directly, and he successfully activated Relic. The rest depends on whether the black light virus can resist Relic's invasion." In his plan, Johnny must be saved. But before that, he still had to get started with the training himself. After
वीडियोस बनाने हैं, फिल्मोरा है ना।